The 10-minute drill.
This is a big one.
Covered by Universal Roof and Contracting. The difference is Universal.
On 1010XL.
Let's go, let's go, let's go.
Hit it.
It's such a tough thing to lose a Super Bowl, man. I mean, it's because it's so joyous throughout the season, and then you catch fire in the playoffs. And, again, if you think about the Niners, if their linebacker doesn't drill the Seahawk receiver at the 1 foot line, then the Seahawks would have been a higher seed, and the Niners would have went in. And who knows if they'd even gotten to the Super Bowl. But they did. They got to the Super Bowl. They dominated Minnesota and Green Bay. They go to the Super Bowl. They're leading it for 3.5 quarters. It couldn't be any better. Their fans are on top of the world, and then it all slips away, and everybody's left pointing fingers and wondering. And listen, it's, we said last year, the L.A. Rams, I'll be back, and I always say be careful. Things change quickly in the NFL.
Is it better to have Super Bowled and lost than to have never Super Bowled at all?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You don't want to be that garbage team that's never been to a Super Bowl. Seriously.
Yeah.
Those teams are held in a little more special place.
But I really want to win.
Aren't many of them left
there
anymore to be
12 to be precise.
Has not the last decade or so, guys, like the last 10 years, Big Four, so the last 40 champions, haven't we been sprinkled with teams ending streaks?
It's 12, by the way. 2 have never sniffed it.
2 have never sniffed what?
Super Bowl.
Only 2 teams?
12.
Oh, 12 teams?
2 have never been in it.
No,
12 teams?
No. I don't think so.
Oh, we know Detroit.
It's Detroit, Cleveland, and the expansion teams.
Houston.
That's it. Yeah, you must be looking at an old list.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, go through your head. Every NFC South team has been.
Or maybe it's 12 that haven't won. I don't know. Somebody was tweeting about it.
Yeah. Somebody tweeted
I think
wrong. There's like 2 or 3 that haven't been.
But in the last, 40 championships, haven't we erased a lot of streaks, man?
What are you talking about?
Like teams that, 50 years for Kansas City.
Oh.
The Cubs.
Well, the Eagles.
The Eagles.
60-something years.
The St. Louis Blues. Yeah.
It
just seems like a lot of franchises have eliminated long-standing streaks where they haven't
instead
won.
Here's what I would like the Jaguars to do, since we're talking about
win
the
a
NFL.
Super Bowl.
Well, I mean, it's just so aggravating to know that another organization outclasses you by so much you'll never catch up. And I'll tell you what I mean. In 2013,
Yeah.
the 49ers lost the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Actually, the end of the 12 season, but 2013.
Yeah.
They lost the Super Bowl.
To Baltimore.
2012 to Baltimore. 2013, they went all the way to the NFC Championship game.
Yeah.
Then they went to 8-8. Then they went to 5-11, 2-14, 6-10, 4-12. But you know what they did, unlike us?
Came back.
Rebuilt. Made the right choices, hired the right coaches, traded for the right players, drafted the right guys. How can they go from 2-14 in 2016 to the Super Bowl while we sit here, thumb 4 inches up the rear? Just thumb up the A, man. I mean, what are we doing? So somebody leave your offices of analytics down at the stadium today, fly to San Francisco, and figure out how to run a football team.
Maybe we should hire John Lynch here, the ultimate slap to Tony.
What a good weekend for Big Bo.
No, was not. He'll be with us at 8 o'clock. Is that confirmed, Beef?
Not yet confirmed.
Or is he traveling? I'll say that. I'll only say this about it, and because some people are telling me, it's they getting. I mean, same old thing every year. Maybe he's not a Hall of Famer. A couple things. One, a lot of players have to go through this process. It's just the way it is. I can name numerous guys. I was working all weekend, so I had time to look up Hall of Fame statistics and guys who have waited. Steve Atwater, for example, waited a long time. Kenny Easley last year waited a long time. I think my theory on this now is this. This is my theory on the vote, and I could be wrong, but I'm wondering. I'm trying to figure out why Tony doesn't get in because everybody speaks glowingly of him. The point I was going to make is I haven't heard anyone say he did not play like a Hall of Famer. Have you heard anyone ever tell you he's not a Hall of Famer? He wasn't that good.
Strictly the length of term.
So
the Jags being in disrepair doesn't help either.
Right.
If they were more
right. So it's strictly longevity. in our opinion.
100%.
And so I think there's guys in that room
that are never going to budge off the longevity
that don't vote him at all, and that kills him.
Well, then how did Terrell Davis get in a couple of years?
But that's the point. You can't use again. I think you have to look longevity as this. If someone did it, like Frank Gore's a Hall of Famer, it's because he lasted as long as he did to compile the numbers that he has. Longevity is a positive, but I don't think it should be viewed as a negative because you guys have already set the criteria. You guys in that room voted in Kenny Easley, who started less games than Tony Baselli. Voted in Terrell Davis, who started less games than Tony Baselli. Voted in Gale Sayers, who started less games than Tony Baselli. Ernie Nevers, Cliff Battles, Stanfill, Billy Shaw. I can go down the list of the Hall of Famers, some as late as a year ago, and some as early as they've been doing it since 1963. And they're 45 of the 326 players going into this year had played less than 10 years.
Yeah,
So I don't.
Let me give you another one that's hard to wrap your brain around.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're Tony, how frustrating this must be. Okay, Think about this. He's made the cut of 10 finalists.
Yeah.
3 years in a row.
Yeah.
Which means, think about this.
That's what I mean, though. I think it gets close, and then people don't vote for him.
Let me go even one step further. He makes the 10 3 years in a row.
Yeah.
Each of those years, 5 guys go in.
Yeah.
That means he's been top 10 and watched 15 guys go in.
Right.
Think about that.
Yeah.
You've got me in the top 10 every year, yet 15 other guys have. How can I be in the top 10 if 15 guys have gone in?
By the way, next year, don't even bother showing up, Tone, because you're not getting in next year.
I hear y'all saying that. I don't agree with that as much as y'all do.
Okay.
You have the 3 automatics. He's not competing against those sure things. They're always going to get in ahead of him.
There might be 4.
Who's the 4th?
Jared Allen.
Yeah.
Make an argument for him.
Yeah.
He'll be a finalist.
I think at least the paring down in the old line, the log jam is being relieved, and it's just down to him and Faneca, and they probably both get in.
Yeah, until another
But they've
one.
just been knocking Jacoby and just knock them off one at a time.
I think eventually he does get in. I'll say this though, and this is my problem with those. And again, I don't want to. I'm a Heisman voter. Sometimes I get it wrong. Whatever. I want to sit here and make an argument for Fred Taylor. Again, bring it back up.
Edge gets in. That'll help Fred. Fred will get some momentum.
Fred Taylor is 17th all time. There's 2 things I want to say about Fred Taylor. He's 17th all time. Any eligible player in front of him is in. And there are plenty behind him who are in.
On the career rushing yards.
Career rushing yards. There's 2 guys who are still playing, Adrian Peterson and Frank Gore, ahead of him. The other 14 are all in. Every one of them. And of those 14, or of those 16, Fred Taylor averaged more yards per carry than 14 of them. Not 5 of them, not 8 of them. Fred Taylor and his 4.6 yards per carry, more yards per carry than 14 of the 16 guys.
Including Edge, who just went in.
In front of him.
Including Edgerrin James, who just went in.
It's his time.
Yeah.
Secondly, one more thing, and this is, listen, we should have won an AFC championship and gone to the Super Bowl. I think that also would have mattered. We had 2 appearances with these guys, and they didn't get in, and maybe that's it. Bruce.
Fred only had 1.
Isaac Bruce, Hall of Fame career. No question in my mind, right? That's fine. 14 years with the Rams, 8 1,000-yard seasons. Jimmy Smith, 11 years with the Jags, 9 1,000-yard seasons. I'm not saying Jimmy Smith. I'm just saying he's never even been discussed. He has the same numbers, Jeff, as Isaac Bruce, except he played, a couple years less. But if you go look at the yards per game, everything's about the same.
Jimmy can at least, if he gets that far along, can match some. Fred never had it. This is what's going to keep him out. He never had any single-year superlatives. Even, you know what I mean?
Well, because when he had the great year, somebody had a better year.
I know that.
Jamal Lewis had 2,000 yards the year he had 16 or whatever. I don't care. I'm just telling you about Fred and Big Bo. So then I start saying that's Jacksonville bias. These guys don't give a damn about Jacksonville Jaguars. They don't care. There's 48 guys in there, and they're just twiddling their thumbs. Hurry up, Sam. We're not voting for your guy. That's kind of how I feel sometimes. Because, I mean, Fred Taylor and Jimmy Smith haven't even been in a finalist room yet. And they should at least
not
be
down to 15. Yeah.
Jeff, they should at least be discussed. And that's why I'm frustrated for Tony as well. Because, again, if there were people who were saying, look, he wasn't a Hall of Famer, then okay. But I think there's guys in there who simply hold the longevity thing against.
Well, Edgerrin getting in was a huge boon for Fred, and those numbers might start to pop up if you can get him into the 10.
Yeah.
On the why is Gore a surefire Hall of Famer and Freddie T is not on the text line? Well, because Gore is the second leading rusher in the history of the NFL. That's why.
Frank Gore is a surefire Hall of Famer. I said
he's
that.
He's saying, why is he a surefire and Freddie's not?
I think he's third, by the way. But
third, well, because he's better than Fred Taylor. That's why.
Well,
he's been to the Super Bowls. Yes. Yes.
Well, I think if you were drafting out of college, you would take Fred Taylor ahead of Frank Gore. But my point is, it's not, those two both should be in. They both should be in. Again, we're talking 100 years of football, and we're talking top 20 running backs in the history of the game in terms of statistics.
Well, there's some things that'll help Fred. Those he's gonna maintain his place because the days of the franchise back are gone. So it's gonna be hard to accumulate those long rushing careers. Here's another thing. Players aren't playing as long. They make a lot of money. They don't have to. Yeah. We've seen it recently.
There's
guys
two
just
running backs
per
game. I just think part of the argument I think should be, hey, jackasses. We've been playing football down in Jacksonville for 25 years. Think about that when you're voting. And they're voting in, okay, again, Hutchinson, worthy, no question. But he's a guard. So that offsets the longevity thing because Tony was a tackle. Yeah. Tony was a better offensive lineman than Hutchinson. I'm sorry. He just was.
But Hutchinson's, 6-time All-Pro, lineman of the year.
Longer. Tony would have been every year Tony played. He would have been.
Yeah, but he did.
It's not his fault. His shoulders went back.
Well, whose is?
Huh?
Whose is it? It's not Hutchinson's fault. That's another hard thing. All 15 of those guys have a worthy case.
Absolutely. I'm not saying they don't, except maybe Lynch. But besides that, yes.
Well, we needed to get Edgerrin in for Fred to have any.
But anyway, we'll talk about that.
By the way, for what it's worth, Gore third. Probably not moving past that.
No.
He's like 1,200.
Yeah. But that's why
he's third. He's third all time.
He's third all time.
That's
he's
why.
in.
Right. No doubt.
Listen, a couple years ago, you sat there and said we'd argue this. He's not a Hall of Famer.
And he's kept playing and
but it's not like he's played at a Hall of Fame level. He's just longevity has allowed him to add the yards, which God bless him, he deserves it. Frank Gore should be a first ballot Hall of Famer, in my opinion. That's where longevity helps you, and it should. I just don't think it should hurt you. I think Tony gets penalized for one thing. Well, two things. One, he was a Jaguar, and I think that's disgraceful. And two, it's longevity, and I think that's been proven to not be part of that shouldn't be part of the criteria.
Yeah, but here's there's some realities that we lose sight of because they're here and he's our guy and this is our team.
Yeah,
the Jags have sucked mud for 25 years.
Have we lost sight of that? I haven't lost sight of that.
Well, that explains some things. We don't go sniffing around Cleveland to find Hall of Famers or Tampa.
Go look at the number of Hall of Famers that every franchise has. Jimbo Covert got pushed in by, come on, man. Again, it's fine. It is what it is, and I respect the job that dudes do. I do. So I'm not going to sit here and say that. I'm just trying to make some points. And next year you're going to have Manning, and the sheriff is going in, and Calvin Johnson's going to go in. I think he'll go. Will he go in on the first ballot? He'll be discussed, but I think he probably will. Anyway, more Hall of Fame talk.
Falcons didn't get a Hall of Famer for more than 25 years.
They didn't.
Somebody just called. They said, I hear what you're saying, but the Broncos went 40 years before getting a guy in, and they went to Super Bowls.
I don't think that just.
Did they really?
Yeah, I don't think that 25 years. The Jags will help Tony and Fred if they can get their head out of the rear.
Okay, how about this? Because they've sucked mud, the 25 years seems like 50 years.
That's fair. That's fair.
I mean, right?
Did you agree with the best play in the history of the league?
I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
The Immaculate Reception.
Yeah, that's what they call it. The others.
It's got a name.
Yeah.
I watched it live as a kid.
I did too.
It stayed with me my whole life. It's shown every year. You certainly could make an argument for Manning to Tyree. What were the other ones?
I thought to
Music City Miracle. Is that one of them?
I only remember three, but the third one to me rivals Immaculate, and that was the Montana to Clark.
Yeah,
that's such a. I mean, that could almost be the logo, him extended in the back corner of that end zone.
Yeah,
that's a big play.
I wouldn't have had any problem with any of those. Those are iconic National Football League plays. But Franco Harris, that was 1972, maybe. It was
Maybe a little bit later than that.
Such a long time ago. It was the Steelers who could never win, and they finally broke through, and that's the one.
Do the 49ers seem to you like a team that's going to be susceptible to the Super Bowl hangover? They kind of do to me.
Yes.
Like they'll come out next year, they're in a tough division.
Like
the Rams get better. They go 7-9 and miss the postseason.
I would have thought you would have felt better about the Rams getting back this year right after the loss than the Niners getting back next year right after this loss. I think that it happens every year, and the Super Bowl loser oftentimes disappears.
It's funny. I saw some people spinning the narrative that, the 49ers arrived a year ahead of their plan.
Okay.
That, bigger and better things next year for them.
We've all, listen, in any sport, dynasties are hard, man. It is.
Did you see what happened to the folks with the Pat Mahomes prop? If you bet Patrick Mahomes over under.
Oh, Dan knows.
I did.
Then you went over? Yeah.
Yeah.
And it came back to under?
Yeah.
Well, you don't have any real money on it. Imagine if you had money on it.
Well, I will say this. I would argue because I saw one betting site refunded all their money.
Because he took
They felt bad.
Like taking knees, like backpedaling on knees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what he did. He had
But I would count it as an L. That's the way it goes.
The over-under is like, you probably got it like 29 yards or something.
30.5.
30 and a half.
Well, it went as high as 36 and a half. It got bet up to 36 and a half.
Right.
He had 44 yards entering Kansas City's final possession.
Yeah, he lost 15
up
yards.
11. He kneeled on 3 straight plays, losing 15 yards.
Yeah.
And finished with 29 yards rushing, which was a costly outcome for bettors.
Well aware of that. In fact, I wasn't aware of that until late last night because I already counted it as a W, and I looked up and I was like, oh.
Yeah. It's one of those loses like where you hit the over and you think you got it.
Now, had there been a dime bet cooking, somebody had wanted to throw that dime bet out there, and then I would have been screaming from the mountaintop.
Well, let's see how we did on the props and more. It's the Monday Morning Quarterback Divorce Men only.
Beef, we do have a prize pack today? What are we handing out this week?
Dan, one lucky Guggen, caller of your choice, will get a pair of tickets to the Next Era Energy 250.
Wow.
That's coming up next Friday, Valentine's Day,
all right,
down at Daytona. And if they text the keyword Speed Weeks right now to the text line at 641-1010, they'll be automatically entered to win a pair of tickets to the 500, the Great American Race, on February 16th.
Well, boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's do caller number 2 at 641-1010.